Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we are reacting to the Garphill live stream they did, where they made some announcements, talked about some new things happening at Garphill. Uh, and yeah, Garphill is one of my favorite companies, board game companies, favorite publishers, and you can tell that. Uh, we are currently doing our top 70 games of all time, and I am definitely the biggest Garfield fan. You just have to go watch that. And we're actually giving away a Garfield game during that, so go figure out how to get entered into that. Check out those videos. Um, but yeah, so I'm always excited to learn what Garfield is doing. And one of the things they talked about was these two games. They kind of gave a date now of when they're launching. I think they had talked about these previously a little bit. I don't know if they were like finalized at that point, but I'm guessing they're a lot closer now, if not completely finished. Because usually Garphill is one of the better companies when it comes to delivering Kickstarters on time or even early. And that is the Anarchy and Skara Brae. So these are two brand new games. The Anarchy, though, is from designer Bobby Hill. If you've played their Hadrian's Wall game, he's the same designer as that. So it sounds like that one has a lot of uh, pieces from that, or feels kind of like that. So I'm curious how that will end up actually feeling, playing out, because I'm like, I hope it's not like too close, because I don't know. I really enjoy Hadrian's Wall. That one may be on my top 70 of all time. Um, but I could see how you could make a game like inspired by it and it would feel very similar, even if there were some
Yeah.
changes, just because of how much is going on in that game.
Yeah, I think that it's the way this one looks a little, you know a lot more about these than I do. It does. I do worry that it could just be kind of a become the definitive version, kind of like the Anarchy pretty much kills Hadrian's Wall. For most that do eventually, if they do get both of them, would probably maybe just stick with one of them. They're preferred of the two and not explore both in the future, but maybe they're going to be different enough. I think the 2 minutes I listened to of this, it was talking kind of you have something about your own castle, and are you maybe attacking other players in this
Yeah,
one?
there's like an incentive to defend and invade, I think is one of the things they brought up. So um, I think you are potentially going out and invading others. So there's a little bit more there. I think it maybe has a little more feel of possibly castle defense than
Oh, yeah.
Hadrian's Wall. There is a little bit of that there because you got those cards you're flipping over when they're coming at you each round. But
Yeah,
um, this one felt like there may be a little bit more of that.
yeah,
I
that'd
guess
be
I'm not
cool.
100% sure.
Yeah.
And then there's already going to, I think they made kind of after the game was released and whatnot. I think Bobby Hill had created and made a like solo campaign for Hadrian's Wall, and I think there's going to be one for it's not like the Anarchy right out of the back. It's going to be in the box and everything. Um, so that should be exciting for solo play. I think it is solo play only.
Yeah.
Building your castle. What else do I got here? Wrote some notes here. Oh yeah, and then kind of alongside talking about the anarchy still, it sounded like as part of the Kickstarter, they're going to have dry erase boards for both this one and for Hadrian's Wall. And I can't remember now. I watched this a while ago and wrote these notes. It feels like a couple weeks ago now, but I believe it's like flip side or one on each side. So I think
Uh,
you'd have to get both, even if you didn't own both. But
yeah.
um, that'll be nice. I always like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean that'll significantly decrease the weight of the box if you do remove the paper sheets because it's a thick pad of paper, two thick pads of paper in Hadrian's Wall at least.
Yeah,
It's going to
for
be
sure.
near empty if we replace that.
And I wrote down folded space insert. I can't remember if that was for both of these or for Skara Brae
Oh, yeah.
or whatnot. So, because I know, yeah, Hadrian's Wall, like you said, is very heavy, and it's very full. It's a very full box. I think these are going to be their kind of, I don't know if I'd call them a medium-sized square box. I think that's what I'm assuming these are going to be because they're in their ancient line, both of them, and those tend to still use their kind of, I don't know, smaller square-sized boxes, even though for their trilogy games now they've kind of gone to the bigger box to make room for expansions, which we will be getting to as well. But for Skara Brae, this is going to be a Shem Phillips design, and it is. He said he got some inspiration when redoing Shipwrights, the Redux version, which may or may not be a game we are giving away for our top 70. So go check that out after watching this, of course. And then he also got some inspiration while doing Legacy of You. So I'm hoping that means there will be some story in this one, possibly. Just kind of that minor story. I know you played it kind of one session and got to see a little bit of that. I think that works pretty well in that game. And he said it's going to be his take on farming with 16 resources.
Look at those resources.
I like to see that.
That's all I needed to see, and I'm like, oh, this is nice.
I'm excited for that. I am very, very excited for that.
Yeah, rest of the game looks fine too, but those resources, man, oh man.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is probably, I'm more excited for this because it's very, I guess, inspired by some of the other games with Shipwrights, Redux, and Legacy of You a little bit, but feels a lot more new and fresh than Anarchy, which seems very close to Hadrian's Wall, and I really like that cover as well, Skara Brae.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really solid cover. It might be. Is that now I'm trying to remember. That is Shem's brother, right? His art?
Yes. Yep.
Sam Sam.
Oh, it's so confusing.
I was like, I almost said Sean Phillips, like Sean. Sean Phillips. He might have a brother named Sean. I don't know. As well. But for I think this Kickstarter alone, I got a quote from Sam McDonald, and he said this will be a solo player's dream.
Ooh. So I'm interested now.
I don't know. He said it's one for solo players, a lot of good stuff for him. So hopefully that'll be the case. That I will say Hadrian's Wall is one of the few games that I have played multiple times solo.
Yeah.
And I don't usually play solo. And obviously I played Legacy of You solo as well, so I have enjoyed the games that they have had. I think they have solo modes for most of their games. I don't know that I've tried all of them, but yeah. So I'm excited about these.
Yeah, me too. Love the art style. It's just glad that they didn't. I mean, Miko's great. He has great artwork, but when we played Raiders of Scythia, and it was kind of our first introduction into Sam Phillips's art, and I've just loved it ever since. And each one of these, I think I do now prefer this over the Miko artwork. Comment below if you feel the same.
Hot take.
I'm crazy.
Might be a little crazy, but they're both very good.
Yes.
It's weird though because they kind of, I mean, they're different, but then at the same time, kind of feel like they could be in the same world. I don't know. For some of it,
it's weird. If you put them right next to each other, it'd be like, no, they don't coexist at all.
Right.
But not comparing them like that, it does feel similar.
Yeah, it's like like high definition or something. You went to high definition from the Miko to his or something. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, then they went into talking about expansions for all three of the South Tigris games, which is pretty crazy that they're doing them all at once. Did not write it down here when the Kickstarter is that they're doing. I don't think it's part of that one, but maybe this all is the same Kickstarter. I don't remember if it is. That's even more crazy. But it'll be expansions for them. And yeah, the first one they talk about is Tides of Trade, Wayfarers of the South Tigris. What do you think of that cover?
I pulled the covers up here. Where do I got it? Okay. and I was gonna think which ones do I prefer to the original covers. Um, I I really like this expansion cover a lot, and I mean, Wayfarers cover hasn't really ever done it for me.
I've
I
always
think,
really liked this one
yeah, I know
myself.
you like it a lot. I've been surprised by that, but it's good. But I really think I do prefer Tides of Trade
This one's pretty good
quite
too.
a bit more. I like it a lot. Has me immediately interested, even though I know I'm not a huge fan of the base game. The cover draws me quite a bit.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I think this one is a solid cover. Uh, and I can't remember. It's been a little bit since I looked at all the expansion covers. This one probably will be my favorite of the three, but we will see. But they said this one was kind of a more stuff expansion. Um, custom. If only I could read. A new tag type, custom workers, and multi-use cards. So more of the same.
Multi-use cards. They've never been
They've
known
never
to do
used
that.
that before. That is a brand new thing to Garphill Games. They've never done that. So I don't know. There must have been something special about it. We'll link below this video, so if you want to hear it all from them, they'll probably explain it in much more detail than I will. Uh, Go check them out. They're fun to listen to too. So they seem like cool guys. But yeah, that one I will say for Garfield Games, I have several expansions to a lot of base games that I really love. And I don't know, like I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna play with the expansion. And then I just it's kind of a chore sometimes to add their
Yeah.
expansions. So I don't know. I'm hoping this one will be easy to put in because uh, I really like Wayfarers of the South Tigris, but I really like the other ones too, and I feel like Architects. I've maybe played the Architects one or one of them. I think there's two of those, but I think I've played with one. Trying to remember Raiders of the North Sea if we played with. I think I've
I
got
think you
one. I don't
played
know if
with
we've played
one
it.
of them once. I don't know if I did, but I think you guys might have.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's they already have a lot in their base games, especially now. There's so much going on, and
there is.
um, it's
That's the
hard to
toughest
really
thing I think.
think about adding them, especially when you haven't played it even that much. So you do need maybe a little refresher for just the base game to then add on more rules. So if you play them more and more, you get really comfortable with it. Probably a lot easier. But for
Yeah,
me, I'm looking for a less stuff expansion. I want to bring these games down to my level of complexity. Pack that stuff
yeah,
in the box.
yeah. I will say I'm probably more excited about the kind of two new games than the expansions. I would say just because of that reason. I don't know how often I'd play with all the expansions, but to each their own. Depends how much you've played the game, like you said. Um, and then the next one is Body of Books for Scholars of the South Tigris.
So we got that cover for the expansion, that cover for the base game. I significantly prefer the expansion uh, cover.
I do like the expansion quite a bit more as well.
This is just, I mean, it's supposed to be very crowded, but I think this feels like an expansion cover. And I think the other one feels a lot more like a base cover. Just something, just
That's
one
probably true.
central focus, one person. Both good, obviously, good artwork, but I think I do
Yeah,
prefer both of the expansions to their base game covers so far.
interesting. Interesting. And yeah, for this one, they're so this one you're kind of translating things in different languages and going up these different colored tracks, using different dice and stuff. And they're adding a new black track and the medicine die. So adding a new black die. They were wondering what they could do to add a new die to the game, I guess. And I don't know if that was always going to end up being an additional track or if that just kind of got
Oh, yeah.
added in eventually. And they're like, yeah, just add it in there. And then you get books to tuck under your board. More customization. Would not play with it in your first play, is what they said.
Uh-oh.
So it must be adding kind of another level to the game, which is already, like you said, the South Tigris games so far, the two that I've played, because not played Inventors yet, which will be the third one, have been pretty heavy. I think Scholars was much heavier than Wayfarers. I thought. I don't know how you felt. I think
Mm,
you played both of them like once.
I think I did play both of them once. The translating little mini game in Scholars is kind of the only thing of both of them that I just like really remember mechanism wise. So then it's in my head that that one's easier to understand. That's the only one that I do remember. um, so I feel like all Garphill games that are heavier now are very intimidating, but after a little bit, they do start to go along. You start to understand it, which is with most games. Um, but they just lose a lot of that intimidation once you get a few rounds in and you're like, oh, okay, I get what's going on here. It might, I don't really have a preference of which is heavier myself. I would say they're about even. But
Yeah.
that's one play a piece.
Yeah, I definitely need to play Scholars more. I did really like the first play of that, but we have not gotten back to that one. But we have played Wayfarers several times. Um, so maybe that's why it feels easier to me, just because I've
Yeah.
played it more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that should be fun, but that does adding to an already complex game is always a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we've got the third one, um, Era of Experts, Inventors of the South Tigris, and then we're getting into the Doctor Strange territories here,
Yes,
or
we are. It
one.
looks like it.
Asymmetry, the expansion, 12 characters, one less round. Are the things that I wrote down at the time when I did this.
One less
So
round. I like that.
So yeah, this one is one that I have not played, so I have no idea anything about the base game. So what this expansion will add, I don't know what it will take away with the one round. It makes me wonder. It says 12 characters, asymmetry, the expansion. I guess I don't know if there's already characters then, or if
Okay.
this is kind of adding it on top to kind
Yeah.
of make it more of an asymmetrical game where maybe
Yeah.
the base is typically symmetrical. I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's probably what it is. It sounds like it from that. 'Cause I wouldn't think they'd make a big deal about asymmetry if it was already there somewhat. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's good. I always like having an asymmetric faction, even if it's just a little bonus or a little thing that you get. It's always nice to have something that others don't have and be jealous of the thing they have that you don't.
Hmm.
Always fun to get people fighting.
To get them fighting over the characters. But yeah, another pretty solid cover here. Uh, I guess which one do you prefer?
It's a really good cover. I like this too, but I think again, 3 for 3. I think I prefer the expansion covers.
Yeah, I can't really argue against that. I mean, they are pretty solid expansion covers. So it's always a shame that it's like, that's some pretty great artwork that isn't going to be my main box, but
You could put it on there if it's big enough box.
that's true. I guess if the expansion is the same size, then I guess you could do that. Um,
Which of these 3 do I prefer?
ooh,
Kind of like the Doctor Strange stuff going on that
it
cover.
is pretty cool.
Um,
Makes
I like these
sense.
books too. God, but that one's just a great landscape. I don't know. It's a
It's three great
three-way
covers.
tie.
Let us know in the comments below which cover of these you like the most, because they are three solid covers there.
Just after I had said that I now prefer Sam Phillips artwork, now I'm raving about the Miko artwork and these fantastic covers.
He knew he had to step up his game. He knew he had to step it up.
Ball is in your court, Sam.
But yeah, then to kind of go along with these three, kind of at the same time, they announced a saga box, and that is the South Tigers Moonsaga, which they've done for their other trilogies so far with the West Kingdom and the North Sea. They kind of have this saga box, which kind of allows you to kind of do a little bit of a campaigny thing or whatever to kind of play through the base games kind of back to back to back, I believe. I haven't actually played any of them, So I don't know exactly what they do, but something along those lines. Uh, Sounds like it's going to be similar to the other ones, solo only 6-chapter campaign. So I guess I thought the other ones were
Yeah,
multiplayer, but
that's what I thought.
and this one's using the Legacy of You writer. So maybe that's what I was thinking earlier.
Uh,
So yeah, this one will have that campaign and be using kind of similar stuff to Legacy of You, it sounded like. Uh, and then what does this say? January, February. So that must be when the Kickstarter is. I have that written down on here, so I assume that's what it'll be. One large campaign for all 4 scholars playmat. Oh, there'll be a scholars playmat, it sounds like, available as well. Um, oh yeah, and I think they just mentioned that there might be some large thing for I think the 4 different ones at some point, maybe. Who
mm,
knows? Who knows? And then so yeah, they announced all this stuff. These are kind of the things that are going to be available here in the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, or maybe not available, but at least run a Kickstarter and whatnot. And like I said, they seem to ship things on time, if not beforehand. So it's usually not a terrible price either. I think their shipping and prices are usually pretty reasonable. Um, but yeah, then they mentioned a couple things. Uh, they had a new game from Zach and Sam in an Ancient World follow-up to Chaos Order. So that is one Garphill game we do not have, is Circadian's Chaos Order, just because it feels like a very big game, a very long game. So I'll be interested to see what that will kind of entail. If it'll be maybe a little bit more approachable, or if it'll just be kind of similar, only in the ancient world versus their alien world. I guess I don't know what that world is considered, but um, that was going to be
that'd be
interesting. And I
cool.
think they're at 15 years of Garphill as well. So we may have to do something for that at some point. Um, and then they mentioned that I think someone had questioned if they were adding any more games to Board Game Arena. And they said the next one would likely be Paladins. I don't know. They didn't like say like, oh, it's coming out really soon or anything. They just said that would probably be the next one that would be available on there. So for all of you Paladins lovers out there, it will maybe be on Board Game Arena at some time. And then they talked a little bit about the East Empire, the 4th in the quadruple trilogy, whatever you want to call it. Uh, they just talked about kind of they've been brainstorming ideas. They are very focused after this South Tigris trilogy on the weight of the games. I think they're hoping to bring that back down, reel it back in a little bit.
Well, it's focused.
And they're focused on it. They're gonna make that their main focus, and they were thinking could be 2026, 2027. I don't really know yet,
Oh my goodness.
so I don't know what they're doing with their
That's
time,
like
but
a decade
that
away.
doesn't sound like Garfield to me.
Seems like it does seem like once the South Tigris was announced, like, oh, here's the new trilogy. It's gonna have dice. Seems like it just whipped right by, and here we
Mhm.
are, and everything's almost out, and we got all the expansions coming out. That just seems way too far away for the next one.
It really does.
It
But
was
I think,
probably just as far when we first heard of this one.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think they had, yeah, just said they were still looking for kind of inspiration on it and stuff. And it sounded like there were also going to be additional games in the ancient world that were going to probably come out kind of in between that area of when they do this Kickstarter. I'm sure they'll have another thing maybe similar to the Skara, Brae, and Anarcy maybe in September or October of next year, 2025 would be my guess. They didn't say that, but that's my guess. That they'll have something like that. Or maybe they did say it and I'm just forgetting. So you'll want to go check out their video, support them. I really like Garphill. I think they're a pretty good company. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, these are. I mean, it is a shame that I'm not as big a fan as you are because all these things just look great from cover wise, and I'm a shallow gamer, and a good cover can really draw me in, and these do, and it sounds like they have a lot of new things coming. Skara Brae is definitely the highlight for me. Just being a new game. New games are always usually more exciting than expansions to me. We've gotten more into expansions in the later years, but nothing beats a brand new game. And
No.
that one's up there. Everything else is maybe down here. Still excited, but Skara
Shallow
Brae,
gamer, wooden resources. Gotcha.
solo gamer. What more do you need?
What else do you need outside of that? Yeah, I'm really excited about that one as well. I like the idea of farming. I should have done farming before. I don't know.
I don't think so.
So that'll be interesting to see how that actually works. If it actually is a farm, I don't know if it's fully farming, but might have some thing of farming. So yeah. If you liked this video, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.